in this case, the only thing before the court is whether they were driving reckless. All right, you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Robert Millan, 25 CR 052603-001. James Aguilar, 25 CR 052203-002. Patrick Rivera, 25 CR 052603-004. And Alex Puente, 25 CR 052603-006. This is a continuation of trial. It is now defense. Well, we had already. State had already rested. Defense, you had started. Who's your next witness? Or is there any preliminary matter?
I just had one preliminary matter, and this may be jumping ahead a little bit, but it may help kind of funnel what we got to get done today.
Okay.
One of the witnesses that I expect the defense to call, and he is present, is
Did we invoke the exclusionary rule, Your Honor?
we would invoke it to at this time again.
Okay, well, I'll do that once.
Well, they shouldn't be hearing what we're talking about at this ones. Any witnesses that are in.
Is there any witnesses that may or will testify? Please wait in the hallway. Don't discuss your testimony with anyone.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
One of the witnesses I expect the defense to call is Sergeant Donaldson today.
Okay.
I guess from the state's perspective, given the testimony as it came out yesterday, I guess like a proffer as to what potentially or why they want to call Sergeant Donaldson. And the reason I'm saying such, Your Honor, is the testimonies that came out yesterday was that there was a change in circumstances as to making an arrest on the defendants. That came from a Detective Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
The only connection that we have with Sergeant Donaldson at this point is that he was Detective Johnston's supervising officer, the sergeant of that squad. So I guess in theory I'd like to know, one, what they expect Sergeant Donaldson to testify to, but more importantly to the state, we just don't believe it's relevant to call Sergeant Donaldson at this time.
Okay, defense?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, Woe v. Hopkins, 1886 was the, actually it goes back to Marbury versus Madison, 1803. If enforcement of a law is contrary to the Constitution, that law as applied is void. Then in Woe v. Hopkins in 1886, which has been cited literally tens of thousands of times and is still good law, for the last 150 years, the law has been clear that even if a law is neutral on its face, if it is enforced in a discriminatory way, that enforcement is void. Now, beyond that, members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club, according to both the Ninth Circuit and the Nevada Supreme Court, is a protected association under the First Amendment of the Constitution. In Burgess v. Story County, it was a case with the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, which everybody would agree is analogous and on the same standing as the Mongols Motorcycle Club. The state tried to take enforcement action against them in a discriminatory way simply because of their association with the Hells Angels. Okay. And the Supreme Court stopped it and said, it's at the foundation of the First Amendment is what they said, and that association in the motorcycle club is protected under the First Amendment. Now, we heard evidence that Mr. Millan was pulled over for speeding. I still think you can listen to it and say flipping people off, but he says it was cutting people off.
Okay.
They then did a half an hour, their full investigation, and the decision was made collectively to only give him a citation for a moving violation.
Okay.
5 minutes after that, Detective Johnston in the other intelligence unit, whom Donaldson is his direct supervisor. That has been established.
Okay.
Calls over and says, no, arrest him for reckless driving. It was all a civil citation, and then this reckless driving, he is sitting here for reckless driving because of a decision by Johnston, Donaldson is his supervisor, to change it to reckless driving solely because he is a member of the motorcycle, or the Mongols Motorcycle Club, a protected association under the Ninth Circuit and the Nevada Supreme Court. Now, that makes it so that we have a woe argument. Was the reckless driving applied to specifically Mr. Millan? I think it's also the others, but it's clear with Mr. Millan, was it applied in a discriminatory way? They changed it specifically because of his membership in the Mongols Motorcycle Club. That is a defense that we have. Donaldson, who leads that entire unit, 5 times in the past year and a half, it was all in one day, but it was a year and a half ago, 5 different instances, he has ordered the people underneath him to arrest members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club when there has been no probable cause, and we can prove it with his own words and video. In fact, we have another witness, Mr. Daniel Garvey, who's one of the victims. He had a recording on his motorcycle the entire way. And Donaldson says that he witnessed it, and all of a sudden there's all this false information that never happened, but Daniel Garvey has a video showing that his arrest for reckless driving was in fact falsified and fabricated. He might come on the stand and he might say, oh, I had nothing to do with it. Guess what? He's sued for fabrication of evidence as of May. In his interrogatories, he also, under penalty of perjury, made the exact same claim that he had nothing to do with it. It was his subordinates. He had nothing to do with it. Your Honor, we have video of him making those orders. We have body cam video where the officer that arrested actually the colleague.
In this case?
What? No, in another case. Okay. So this is all relevant because what happened to Mr. Millan with the woe defense, what happened with Mr. Millan, he was supposed to get a citation and he's here for reckless driving because of Johnston and because, the sole reason, because he's a member of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. And that entire unit, led by Donaldson, is dirty. That entire unit, led by Donaldson, regularly arrests members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club falsely and trumps up charges for reckless driving and a number of other things, including breach of peace for flipping off at a clubhouse.
Okay.
Right? So, yes.
All right. So, Mr. Stubbs, while all of that may be true, we are here today for whether the 4 defendants committed a reckless driving. This is not a civil lawsuit. The court does not believe that all of that is relevant. If it is, from the testimony, there was no testimony so far given that Donaldson, other than being the supervisor, ordered anything or said that they had to be arrested. It was a few things of hearsay, but it looked like it was, at the end of the day, was Johnston, or people didn't know who ordered the arrest. However, the only thing the court that is in front of the court is whether a reckless driving was committed or not. So the court does not find that that's relevant as to whether a reckless driving was committed by anyone. This is after the fact. This can be addressed civilly. This can be addressed in a different courtroom. Before this court today, that is not before this court. Before this court is whether Mr. Millan, Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Rivera, whether they were driving reckless.
So if in fact Sergeant Donaldson did order the arrest, would it be relevant then?
Even if he ordered the arrest or gave a citation, that's after the fact. What the court needs to determine is whether they were driving recklessly at the time. So again, it's not relevant. I'm not seeing a relevance for whether an officer ordered an arrest or not. That doesn't determine if they drove or did not drive recklessly. It has no bearing over. That may be, again, it may be a civil issue. It may be a civil rights issue. However, for what is before the court, it's just whether the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt whether reckless driving occurred. And it's not relevant whether someone ordered the arrest, at least in the court's position, whether a reckless driving occurred or did not occur. Which is what the state has to prove.
Okay, may I present one other way that it is relevant, Your Honor?
Sure.
Okay. I would like to hand you a case. It's Borden v. United States. It's 2021 Supreme Court case. And in fact, I gave a copy to the state earlier.
That's correct.
Okay. On page 7, and we lost some of your pages with the staple, I'm sorry, but page 7 is still there. On page 7, oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's page 7. It's page 7 of both of these cases. Oh, here are the other pages. Yeah. Just make it complete. On page 7, this is the United States Supreme Court set a standard for recklessness. Okay, they set a standard. This is a case where the United States Supreme Court was dealing with whether reckless driving is a violent offense which would trigger some other federal laws.
Okay.
And they said it was not, and they specifically defined recklessness. In page 7 at 427, the first paragraph, they say recklessness and negligence are less culpable mental states because they instead involve insufficient concern with the risk of injury. A person acts recklessly in the most common formulation when he, quote, consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk attached to his conduct and, quote, gross deviation from the accepted standard. For it to be reckless, there has to be a gross deviation from the acceptable standard. So with the reckless driving, the acceptable standard, I think we can all agree, is the traffic laws. That is the acceptable standard according to the state of Nevada. So in order to be reckless, it has to be a gross deviation. They are literally being prosecuted for going maybe 5 miles over the speed limit, right? The evidence that is shown to you, nothing has been a gross deviation. They were arrested. This entire enforcement action with Gower. Gower testified that their turn on Sahara was not even dangerous. He did not know any of the speeds. On Sahara, he was going in the left. They were in the left-hand lane almost the entire time. They went to the number 2, and then the number 1 lane. Were there until Mr. Millan was pulled over as he entered the I-15. I asked him for any specific instance of anybody else that was affected, and he couldn't come up with it. He said it didn't matter. He said none of them were affected.
But again, how is this relating to Donaldson after the fact? So that's what the state has approved. The state has approved that the speed limit, whether it's 1 mile over or 10 miles over or 5 miles over, along with the not signaling, whether that's reckless, that's where they get their day in court. They're being charged with reckless driving. The state has the burden to prove that the things that the officers said that they observed while they were observing it was reckless or not. That has nothing to do with if an officer then after the fact says, instead of giving them a citation, a warning, letting them go, we're gonna arrest them. That still doesn't disprove or prove what the state has to prove of the reckless driving. So the court still doesn't find that relevant in this case. Yes, it may be relevant in subsequent lawsuits. It may be relevant in a different court case, but in this case, the only thing before the court is whether they were driving reckless.
If there's a different standard applied to them because of their association in the Mongols. Now, keep in mind, they testified.
There's not a different standard. It's still beyond a reasonable doubt. Whether they are driving on a motorcycle or a car, it's still reckless driving. There is no different standard that the court is applying to them based on them driving a motorcycle and then being involved in this motorcycle club.
I still firmly believe, and I believe it would be a strong part of our defense, that any information of this discrimination against them for their First Amendment protected association is relevant. I firmly believe that, and I respect Your Honor and your decision, but but that I do firmly believe that all of this profiling, all of it is relevant to how they're being treated. The only reason they're sitting here today is because they're members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. This would not happen to anybody else the way that it went down. Nobody else, it's because they're members, and I respect your decision, Your Honor, I just disagree.
Okay, so at this time, the court's finding that that's not relevant. The state has the burden to prove whether reckless driving occurred or not. Anything subsequent on why they were arrested, if they were targeted, again, the court, it may be different if things were found and we're trying to suppress evidence that was found pursuant to why they were even initially stopped, but that's not before this court. It's also, so again, to whether the state has proven that reckless driving occurred or did not occur, the court is finding that it's irrelevant to whether they, it's irrelevant to who ordered for them to be arrested as opposed to a citation.
Yeah, the feedback has to be cut off by the court. Okay? Would the court agree that whether or not Gower and King and Sergeant Walt, whether they were discriminatory in their targeting or pulling over the Mongols Motorcycle Club would be relevant?
For whether the state has proven whether reckless driving has occurred or not?
Yes. If the application, if we present the evidence that the application of the reckless driving to the defendants for Gower, King, and or Walt,
Okay.
would you believe that to be relevant?
I'm not understanding your question.
Okay. Do you know what? Let me call them as witnesses and I can argue. Is that okay?
Okay. Because, yeah, I don't understand your question, but okay.
I think it'll become more clear
Okay.
when you get more evidence. You're right.
All right, so you can call your witness state, defendants.
Detective Gower, please. And Your Honor, I would release, with your decision, I have no choice but to release Donaldson and also Garvey. He would actually like to watch if he's not a witness, and so I would release both of them as witnesses.
Okay.
Okay.
State, any objection?
No, if they're not gonna be witnesses, they can come in the courtroom.
Okay. And then who did you get?
What was the name, sir?
We're releasing Sergeant Donaldson, and then Daniel Garvey can come into the courtroom.
Who's testifying, sir?
I'm sorry?
I'm going to call to the stand, sir.
Oh, Detective Gower, please.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a seat. For the record, state your first and last name with spelling, please.
Tyler Gower, Tyler Gower.
You may proceed.
Thank you. How are you today, Detective?
Good, how are you?
Well, so I'm going to bring up again a document that, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you said you did not recognize it. Since then, it has been authenticated, and so I would like to ask you some questions about it now.
Okay.
Do we have a printout or is it just?
I am sharing it right now on the screen. It has already been,
Yeah, he just won't be able to see.
okay. Okay. So this is a document that has been authenticated, and it's been established that there was essentially a lawsuit, just to give you some context, a lawsuit from a 2017 enforcement action to where a van full of Mongols Motorcycle Club members were pulled over and then for traffic, and then they tried to gain additional intelligence, prolong the stop, and move away from the mission of the traffic stop. Okay, and so it was also established that as part of a settlement with Metro in 2021, that this training was going to be mandatory training for all officers, to be distributed to them every year for 5 years. And in fact, how long have you been with Metro?
10.
10, okay. So according to this training, this document should have been sent to you and you should have had it as part of your training this year and then 4 years behind, because it started 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you should have had 5 trainings with this document. Did you have those trainings with this document?
I take a lot of courses. I can't specifically say I've seen this document, but I have to go through my training history.
Okay. If it's mandatory training, would you believe that it's important?
Yeah, every training
Okay.
course is important.
If I could call your attention to, can a traffic stop be prolonged on that document? And just tell me if I'm reading this correctly. It says, can a traffic stop be prolonged? Answer, no. An officer's deviation from their task in completing the traffic stop, even for 40 seconds, could be considered a deviation from the stop. And it quotes a court case. Then it says, an officer's mission during a traffic stop is to address the traffic violation which warranted the stop. Okay, did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's my question. You said that you were part of a saturation event at Desert Inn and Jones, correct?
Not Desert Inn and Jones. A part of a saturation for that area of community.
Okay, but you were around Desert Inn and Jones, correct? Okay, in that area of community. Do you use traffic violations to gain intelligence during these saturation events?
As in, what do you mean gather intelligence?
Okay, deviation from the stop, like delaying things for the stops.
No, I generally don't do traffic stops. It's
Okay,
very rare that I do a traffic stop, actually.
okay, then why did you do this?
Because I couldn't get a black and white to assist me.
Okay. You testified, and actually, I believe was it Rodriguez was the other?
He testified.
All right. Rodriguez testified, and you can put in your declaration of arrest, that he simply put out that a group of Mongols motorcycle club members were traveling at a, quote, high rate of speed. He didn't even know how fast they were going.
Okay.
North on Jones. If you normally do not deal in traffic stops, why did you decide to answer that call?
Because it's my job.
Traffic stops?
I have a lot of jobs.
Okay, but you just said that you don't ordinarily do a traffic stop.
No, it's
right?
unsafe.
Okay.
That's what, a black and white is much safer. If I'm gonna make a stop, a black and white is much safer to do so.
Okay. But he specifically said that they were members of the Mongols motorcycle club,
That
correct?
helps document and identify these people. There's lots of motorcycles on the road.
Okay. During saturation events like this, are you there just to write traffic tickets?
It's a whole, anything. It's a saturation. It's not, we don't pick and choose crime.
And if you pull someone over for a traffic citation, do you then try to investigate other things?
Can't prolong the stop.
Okay. So you would agree you can't prolong the stop?
That's what the document says, you can't prolong the stop.
Okay. With Mr. Millan's case, you specifically told him that he was being pulled over for speeding and you said cutting people off, correct?
We don't know the cutoff aspect. I don't know what I said during that body cam. All I heard is off.
All right, but you
It
said
could have been-
speeding also.
Yes.
Something off and then
Yes.
the speed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's a regular traffic stop, correct?
And initially, yes.
Okay, so,
But I also, well, go ahead.
okay, so it was, I believe, over 16 minutes, almost 17 minutes before anybody even asked him for his insurance and registration.
Your Honor, at this point, I'm going to object. We're getting back into these constitutional arguments. The issue is there is no suppression issue before the court. There's really no relevance to this at this point, and so the state's objecting to this entire line of questioning.
And I would say, Your Honor, that it's a yo argument to where they specifically said from the very beginning, Mongols Motorcycle Club, and I would submit to Your Honor that they are trumping up the charges because They were members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. And if I can ask just a few more questions, I think that'll become clear.
So right now, the questions don't seem to be relevant, so I'm gonna sustain for relevance. You can ask another question
I'll ask
if the
another
state objects, I'll determine.
So, just for context of the question, you told him that he was being pulled over for speeding, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now, if he was in fact just speeding and nothing else was involved, would you be able to investigate further, or would you just have to write him a ticket and move on?
You have to determine if he has insurance, registration,
Yes.
all of that.
All of that part, correct, but you wouldn't be able to investigate, search, have the dog go around, or anything else like that you would typically do in a saturation event, correct?
I'm not the one who ran the dog, so I can't articulate what Detective King did.
Okay, but you would agree that you can't go beyond the mission of the stop, you just have to do the stop unless there is a crime, correct?
There was a crime.
Well, just say, you admit that unless there was a crime, correct?
Yes.
So there's an incentive, and you would have an incentive to exaggerate what happened and try to fit the square peg of reckless driving into the circle hole of speeding, correct?
No, I mean, we initially said on the radio reckless driving too. I may have said speeding when I spoke with him, but we established over the radio that PC was reckless driving.
That wasn't my question. Do you have an incentive, because of the previous court case and because of the training, to try to exaggerate what happened traffic-wise to fit the square peg of reckless driving into the smaller round hole of a speeding ticket?
No.
You don't have an incentive of wanting to investigate further?
No, he committed a crime. I'm gonna investigate the crime.
Okay, so let's review this alleged crime really quick. And let me do it in the context of a recent United States Supreme Court case. And I'm going to ask you whether his conduct was a gross deviation of the traffic laws. Okay? I'm just going to simply ask you if his conduct was that. So, do you know what I mean when I say gross deviation?
Can you explain?
Okay, so if there is an acceptable standard, and I think everybody can agree that the acceptable standard on the road are the traffic laws. The state legislature have said, these traffic laws, that's the acceptable standard of people on the road, correct?
Your Honor, I'm sorry to object, but I think an explanation that requires this much time just to ask a question is probably excessive. What is the question?
Like I said, I was going to go through everything he testified of and ask him if it was a gross deviation of the acceptable standard.
Yeah, I don't know
I
about
think that
giving an
that's a
explanation.
legal conclusion as well. I mean, at this point, I'm gonna sustain.
Your Honor, my point is that it's an exaggeration of what happened to try to make it into a reckless driving, when really it's simple, minor traffic issues.
That's argument that's for argument. I don't think that is appropriate questions for the officer. He can question as to what he saw, what he might have thought, but what the court feels like you're doing is giving your closing arguments in the form of a question that really the court has to answer. This is what the trial is, and the court has to determine whether reckless driving occurred or not.
Okay,
I don't know if the officer can testify as to.
okay, I'll
whether
do it a
reckless
different way
driving-
then, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay. Do you believe that any deviation of the speed limit is dangerous?
Speed limit is put in place for a reason.
Do you believe that any deviation of the speed limit is dangerous?
Yes, if you're speeding, you're speeding.
Okay, is that dangerous?
Can be.
Okay.
That's a very open-ended question.
Okay, I asked you earlier whether them turning right on Sahara was dangerous, and you admitted that it wasn't dangerous, correct?
I admitted that I can't speak for other people who are driving.
Is it dangerous to change lanes when it doesn't affect anybody else?
There's absolutely nobody around. There was traffic on the road that day.
Okay, but if there's traffic on the road and nobody close to them, and it didn't affect
There's a
anybody
lot.
else, is that dangerous?
Excuse me, there's a lot of factors that go into place though.
Like what?
Somebody pulling out of a private drive, somebody making a left turn. These are all things that can affect somebody who doesn't utilize a blinker that could cause a safety issue.
Like, did that happen? Did someone pull out of a private drive?
I don't recall.
Okay, so you have no recollection of any of that happening. So why would that be relevant in this case?
What do you mean, why would it be relevant in this case?
If it didn't happen, why?
I said I don't recall. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Okay. If you testified earlier that they were going faster than the flow of traffic, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do different lanes on a highway, if there's 3 lanes, do different lanes go at different speeds at times?
On that freeway?
No, on Jones, on Sahara.
I can't speak for that.
Okay. Okay. That evening on Jones, when you said they weren't going the speed of traffic, were they going faster than everybody in their lane, or were they simply going a little bit faster than the people in the other lanes?
Will you re-ask the question?
Okay. When they were going north on Jones, and you don't know how fast they were going, but you said they were going faster than the flow of traffic. Were they going faster than everybody in their own lane, or faster than the people in other lanes?
They were switching lanes and passing traffic. That's how I observed
Okay,
moving faster than
we're
the flow of
talking about
traffic.
the speeding,
Yes,
okay?
and they're moving faster than the flow of traffic.
In their own lane,
No, they were switching lanes, passing vehicles.
as they move from the number 1 lane to the number 2 lane to the number 3 lane.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and you'll admit that Mr. Millan at least was using his turn signal, correct?
I did. During what incident?
On Jones.
If Mr. Millan was on the back of the path when he made the right turn.
Yes.
Are
And
you,
you
talking,
saw.
are you talking about that incident, or are you
It-
talking about as I traveled on Jones? I mean, there's a lot of, remember, I followed him from Desert Inn to Sahara.
Right, and you also testified that nobody used their blinker the entire time initially, correct?
I don't recall if I said the entire time.
Okay. That was in your declaration of arrest, correct?
I have to revert to it.
Okay, I'll bring it up. This is Exhibit G. It's already been admitted into evidence.
We didn't.
The declaration is.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Correct. I tried to, but it did not happen. I'm sorry. But it's marked as Exhibit G. My apologies. I didn't mean to misspeak. She would have corrected me anyway. Okay, it should be popping up. Okay. Do you see where it says, as the subjects in the second paragraph? Right where I'm just kind of circling right here. See, as the subjects?
Can I read the entire paragraph, please?
You want to just read it to yourself? Sure.
Yeah, let's do this. What part were you showing, sir?
Okay, so as the subjects were traveling, I'll just read it and you tell me if I read it correctly. As the subjects were traveling north on Jones, they committed multiple traffic
I
infractions.
think that it's supposed to be read into the record. So
Oh.
he can refresh his recollection with it,
Okay.
however, it's not admitted, it cannot be read into the record. If he can't refresh his recollection with it.
I think Mr. Stubbs can ask him whether he said a specific thing.
Yes, but he said no, and then he started reading it.
Okay. Did you, after reading that paragraph in your declaration of arrest, did you say that none of them utilized their, it says single, but I think you meant signal of intent?
Utilizing the signal of intent as the subjects traveled on Jones.
Right, so did you put in your declaration of arrest that none of the defendants used their signal of intent going north on Jones?
Yes, as they're traveling north on Jones.
Okay, but you saw in the video that is not correct, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so at least one of them did use their signal of intent, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm finished.
Any comments?
Can I just ask you a couple questions about that right turn onto Sahara? We reviewed the footage now, fair to say?
Yeah.
You were able to make a right turn on Sahara and there weren't any cars coming, right?
Correct.
Is it safe to make a turn at a red light without stopping?
No.
Why is that?
Because of other traffic that can be affected.
So just knowing that there wasn't another car coming doesn't make that right turn safe, does it?
No, you still have to stop.
Having reviewed the video, you saw that at least that a motorcycle had a blinker on at that one moment.
Correct.
Do you stand by your statement that they were making lane changes in and around cars without using their blinkers?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay, in and around cars, you testified earlier that you could not recall even one instance to where their lane change affected another vehicle. Is that still true?
Yes.
Okay, and you made that turn safely onto Sahara, correct?
Yes.
And that was not dangerous when you turned onto Sahara, correct?
Correct.
And you followed directly behind them, also without stopping at the line, correct?
Correct.
So then them turning on Sahara was also safe, correct?
I couldn't speak for other cars around.
But if yours is safe and you're directly behind them, then theirs had to be safe, correct?
Depends on which lane they traveled into. There's a lot of factors whether the safety comes into this or not.
Did you testify earlier that it in fact was safe and it was not dangerous?
It's I don't know which lane I traveled into, which lane they traveled into. What I felt when I made this, I wouldn't have made the lanes switch if it wasn't safe for me. I can't speak for them.
Okay, but you testified earlier that when they turned eastbound on Sahara, it was not dangerous, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on that?
Nothing further.
Is Mr. Gower here to leave?
From our perspective.
From our perspective, he's excused.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gower, for your testimony. You are to leave.
Your Honor, given your rulings on objections with Mr. Gower, we would also release Sergeant Waltz and Detective King. Thank you. Okay. Let them go about their day. I believe we are going to start calling the defendants now. I have apprised them of their rights, but I know judges usually like to do that as well. Would you like to do that at this time?
Are they testifying or are they not?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, at least one of them is, and then we'll make the decision after that.
Okay, so, I'll just speak to you all four of you. You have a constitutional right to testify today. So if you do choose to take, to testify, you have that right, and if you choose not to, again, only you can say whether you're gonna testify or not testify. Your attorney may advise you to testify or not testify, but you have that constitutional right to decide if you're gonna testify.
And it cannot be used against you if you do not testify.
Oh, yeah, it's not gonna be used against you.
Okay, all right. I would call James Aguilar.
Okay.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat. For the record, state your first and last name with spelling, please.
James Aguilar, JamesAguilar.
You may proceed.
Mr. Aguilar, how are you employed?
I'm a bartender
Where?
at the Rio,
Okay, how long have you been employed there?
35 years,
How long have you been a resident of the state of Nevada?
42 years.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 58.
So for the majority of your life, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to call your attention to June 20th, 2025. At around 8:30, where were you located? 8:30 p.m.
Near Tropicana and Jones.
Okay. Do you live close by?
Yes.
Okay. So were you and the other defendants at your home?
Yes.
Okay. What did you decide to do that evening?
Go for a ride.
Okay. And where were you going?
We're going to the Broadacre Swap Meet
Why?
to go shop and eat.
Okay. So it was the ride a ride of pleasure?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're simply going out, riding, and going out to eat?
Yes.
Okay. Were you in any kind of a hurry?
No.
Okay. On that trip, at any time, did you put anybody else in danger?
No.
Okay. Let's just walk through the trip if we can, okay? Where did you start this trip?
From my house,
Which was close to what cross streets?
Tropicana and Jones.
Okay. Then did you start going north on Jones?
Yes.
Okay. Could you describe from north on, or from Tropicana and Jones to Jones and Sahara, what happened with your driving during that time, to the best of your ability?
It was a nice ride. It was a nice night. Usually travel on the left lane.
Okay. Were you traveling on the left lane for the majority of the time going to Sahara?
I would say so.
Okay. Why do you travel in the left lane?
Well, I took a motorcycle safety course, and they teach you that being in a motorcycle, the safest lane is always on the left.
Okay. Why is that?
There's less activity there, less chances of anybody driving out of a driveway or out of a street and ramming into you.
Is motorcycle safety important to you?
Yes,
Okay. Were you leading the pack?
yes,
Do you have a responsibility to your, I'm going to call him your brother, do you consider them your brothers, correct?
yes,
Do you have a responsibility for the safety of your brothers when you're leading a pack of motorcycles?
yes,
Okay. Do you take that responsibility seriously?
absolutely.
Okay. So, did you have any intention whatsoever of doing anything dangerous that would put them at risk?
No, not at all.
Are you as protected in a motorcycle as you would be in a car?
No,
Okay. So is there an added vigilance to safety when you're riding because of that?
yes,
Okay. Is that why you took your advanced motorcycle safety course?
yes.
Okay. What did they teach you in that course about signaling before you change lanes or change direction?
Using your signal on your bike and also using your hand signals.
What did they teach you is the most important part of signaling?
I don't understand the question.
Well, is the most important part of signaling that you actually get drivers' attention so that they understand?
Yes,
Okay. did they give you specific instructions on how effective hand signals are in gaining attention of other vehicles?
Yes.
Okay. What was that?
Well, if you're not gonna use your signal, you really should use your hand signals. And you can even go as far as putting your foot out for a second, just to catch the attention of the driver.
Are sometimes hand signals more effective, especially with the left, merging left, than a signal on a motorcycle is?
Absolutely.
Okay, so for instance, if you're close to a car and say merging onto a freeway, just as a for instance, is there a chance that cars won't even see your turn signal on a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's much safer to use a hand signal than your turn signal on a motorcycle while you're merging on a freeway and if anything's chaotic, correct?
Yes, and that's why on the freeway I use both.
Okay, so so for the majority of Jones, did you ride in the left lane for the majority of Jones?
Yes.
Okay, then was there a time that you merged to the right so you could turn right on Sahara?
Yes,
Okay, did you do that in a safe manner?
absolutely.
Okay, were there any cars affected by you changing lanes whatsoever?
No.
Did you signal?
Yes.
Okay, now do you remember if you signaled with your arms or your turn signal or both?
I can't remember, but I'm saying that I probably used both, if not just my arm.
Okay. Now, how fast were you going north on Jones?
I don't know, probably the flow of the speed of everybody else.
Okay, if you're in the left lane and the cars are going slower in the center lane or the right lane, there's 3 lanes, correct, on Jones?
Yes.
That's been established. Is it okay for the left lane to go a little bit faster than the other 2 lanes?
It usually happens that way because, like I said, there's more danger on the right lane for people to come out of streets or driveways.
Okay. The entire time, did you split traffic at any time?
No,
Why would you not split traffic?
because we're not allowed to split traffic.
Okay, but is it dangerous?
Yes.
All right, so is that something that you generally don't like to do because it's dangerous?
Right.
Okay, so then you approach Sahara, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you're leading the pack, so the rest of the pack is essentially doing what you're doing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you come to a complete stop at Sahara?
I did, right behind the car that was in front of me. I'm watching the left-hand traffic and the car in front of me. As he rolled out, I saw that it was really clear, so I just rolled behind him.
Okay, so there were no other cars coming that would be put in danger by you turning right?
No, because, again, I'm more or less responsible for all the guys behind me. So if I see it's really clear, then I'm gonna make the move.
Okay. Now, the line at Jones, especially on a dark night like the 20th, there's the crosswalk and then there's a line right in front of it. Was that visible in the dark?
No, not that I remember.
Okay. Was it blackened at all from maybe tire tracks to where it wasn't visible?
Yeah, it was nothing that I remember it being really bright or anything.
Oh, okay. All right. So then you turned right on Jones. What lane were you in when you turned right on Jones?
On the immediate right?
Okay, and then all the other motorcycles followed behind you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you then turn to the number 2 lane?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do that safely?
Yes.
Okay. Were there any cars affected by you turning into the number 2 lane?
No.
Okay. Did you then turn into the number 1 lane?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do that safely?
Yes.
Were there any cars affected by you turning into the number 1 lane?
No.
Okay. Did you stay in the number 1 lane all the way till the I-15?
Yes.
Okay. Were you going the flow of traffic
Yes.
on Sahara? Okay. Were there cars in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. So when was the first car in front of you? Do you remember approximately when that happened?
Not really. I just remember that night that the first further east we went, the more busy it got.
Okay. And there were cars in front of you pretty much the entire time, correct? Okay. Did you stop at any stoplights?
Yes.
What's the stoplight that you stopped at?
I remember stopping at Valley View.
Okay. Were there cars in front of you stopped at Valley View?
Yes.
Okay, so you weren't at the front. There were cars in front.
Right.
So when it turned green at Valley View, could you just speed off, or did you have to stay behind the cars that were in front of you?
Had to stay behind.
Okay. And so the entire time going on Sahara, you drove I'm sorry. Did you drive the flow of traffic the entire time on Sahara?
Yes.
Okay. And you had to because there were cars in front of you.
Right.
Right. Okay. And once you got in the left lane, you didn't change lanes again, correct? Okay. Would there come a time when you merged on the I-50?
Yes.
Okay. When you were merging on the I-15, was it congested? What was traffic like?
It was congested.
Okay, was it chaos?
I wouldn't say chaos, but it was congested. It was, you had to be careful.
Were there a lot of brake lights?
There was a lot of lights.
Okay. Did you notice any officers trying to pull you over from the front of the path?
No.
Okay. Now, there is a merge lane between Sahara and Charleston on the I-15 going north, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that merge lane is where if cars are wanting to get off the I-15 and get onto Charleston, they have to try to merge into the merge lane. At the same time, the cars coming from Sahara, from Sahara merging onto I-15, they at the same time have to merge left onto the I-15, correct?
Yes.
Out of that line. Okay. What do you customarily do as a pack of motorcycles? Oh, first of all, were there a lot of brake lights happening when you started to try to merge onto the I-15?
It was really busy, but there was no chaos or anything. So, but there was a lot of traffic.
Were the cars going slow as they tried to either merge in or merge out of the I-15?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how as a group do you generally merge in a situation like that with so many cars?
I try to make sure I'll signal both with my light and my hand so that the cars realize that we're coming in. And once they see me coming over, they start to slow down a little bit, and then they'll notice the rest of the bikes so that we all come in one group.
Okay.
So keep it as safe as we can.
Now, from your experiences first of all, were you wearing a Mongol patch that evening?
Yes.
A vest with a Mongol patch? From your experience, does that garner attention from drivers?
Probably.
Okay. From your experience, is it normal for drivers to brake and take a look at you and your patch?
Well, yeah, you get people smiling and trying to take a picture sometimes and whatnot.
Okay. So just the fact that there's a patch, from your experience, a lot of times the cars will brake and just kind of, hey, look what's
Yeah,
going on.
or waving.
All right. When you were merging onto the I-15, did you look for a spot where it would be best for you to merge? The best gap?
Yes.
Okay. Did you then head to that spot quickly?
Yes.
Okay. And describe the merge, whether how you did that safely. Describe how that happened.
Getting on the freeway?
Getting onto the 15, yes.
Put on my blinkers, and then I immediately put my hand out.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm wearing white gloves so people see it. I like wearing those gloves for that reason.
Did you look over and make sure that you could go safely?
Oh, yeah.
Did the vehicle brake for you
Yes.
to make sure that you could get in safely?
Yeah, we got in with no problem. It was busy, but we got in with no problem.
Okay. And then what did you do?
went all the way to the left lane, you know, we went lane by lane. Once we secure a lane, then we'll signal again and go over to the next lane until we get to the very left.
Okay.
And then we traveled straight down to 15.
Now, did you travel in a group or kind of fragmented where everybody could just kind of get through until you could get together on the left part of the freeway?
I couldn't see behind me, but I would assume that we kind of fragmented if it was, you know, really, really busy.
So is that normal when it's busy traffic?
Yeah,
Okay, all right. But in your case, you just knew to just merge as safely as you could. Correct?
yeah, and I remember us just getting there.
Okay. Once you were in the left-hand lane, did you continue on?
Yes,
Did the other motorcycles join you?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you just continued on until North Las Vegas, correct?
yes.
Okay. Did there come a time when somebody realized that, hey, Millan's not here?
Yeah.
Okay, describe that, please.
Well, we got off the freeway on, what is that, Lake Mead? Again, merged over, lane by lane, to the left side.
To the left side or to the right side? I'm sorry, when you say merged, was that on the freeway or is that on Lake Mead?
No, on Lake Mead.
Okay, on Lake Mead.
Yeah, so we're on the freeway, we merged to the right, lane by lane, and then made our exit on the freeway, hit Lake Mead, got off on Lake Mead, merged again to the left. So now we're on our left lane. We're traveling down. When we got to the light, we had a little time to talk to each other, and we realized that somebody was missing,
Who was missing?
Millan.
Okay. Then what did you decide to do?
So we saw there was an open driveway or an open parking lot that we could safely go into after making our left. So that's where we went into.
Okay. Why did you pull over into that parking lot?
Just so we can see, maybe call him or find out where he's at and see if he's safe.
Okay. So did you have any idea that he was pulled over?
No.
Okay. Okay. Is there? Okay. I'm done with the witness. Please.
Cross.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Aguilar, how many motorcycle courses have you taken?
I've taken the motorcycle, I forgot the name of it, but it was off of Boulder Highway.
Okay. And how long is that course?
That's a 3-day course.
Okay. I honestly don't know this question. Is it required to get a motorcycle license that you take this course?
Yes.
I believe you said earlier that in this course you're taught to use both, or it's best practice, I guess, to use a turn signal and your hand?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there certain gestures that you make when making a left-hand turn versus a right-hand turn?
Yes.
Okay. What's the left-hand turn look like?
Straight up.
And that's with your left hand?
Yes.
And what about a right-hand turn?
Straight up.
Straight up with the left hand?
Yes.
And so it's preferred that you use both those signals. Is that at day and at night?
Yes.
I don't remember what you said, but I believe the question was asked of you that if you're only going to do one, which one is better? Which one's more safe is probably a better question to ask. Which one's more safe? If you're only going to do one, is the light signal better or the hand signal better?
I would say the hand signal.
The hand signal, okay. I think you said that occasionally it's important enough to you that you will wear white gloves.
Yes.
Did you wear white gloves on this night?
Not sure, I can't remember.
You don't remember?
Yeah.
Okay. Would it help you remember if I showed you a picture of some of the body camera?
Sure.
I'll have this marked as State's Proposed Exhibit 6.
Okay.
This is State's Proposed Exhibit 6. Do you recognize this as a picture being on June 20th of 2025 after the stop was made on you?
Yes, sir.
And in this picture, do you have white gloves on?
I might have taken them off already. I'm not sure if I was wearing them that night, but usually when I get off my bike, I take off my helmet and my gloves.
Okay, and your helmet is off in this picture.
Yes.
I'll move for the admission of state's proposed exhibit 6.
I have no objection.
All right, it'll be a minute.
The white gloves that you have, are there any reflective elements to those gloves?
No.
What is the purpose of a turn signal itself?
To make a safe lane change.
Or to make any movement on your bicycle, one way or another, deviating from a straight line?
Yeah.
Okay. And in this particular occasion, or what you're trying to do is you're trying to convey information to other drivers, is that accurate?
Yes.
Because you know where you want to go. It's the other cars that don't know where you want to go. Okay. So in using hand signals, the drivers in front of you are less likely to see a hand signal, correct?
I wouldn't say that, only because people are so used to signals, you've got a lot of traffic, but if they see a hand come out, they're gonna notice that. But that's why I use both, especially on the freeway when it's busy.
Okay. But for drivers that are in front of you, do you think you do drive a vehicle also like a
Yes.
car? Is it easier for you to notice a turn signal, a blinking light, from vehicles behind you? Or do you see arm movements? Which one's easier for you when you're driving in front of somebody to see?
Not too many people use arm signals nowadays.
So you think the arm signal is easier for drivers in front of you to see?
Well, the turn signal was designed for people to see, so I would say the turn signal.
Okay. And when you're driving as a group of motorcycles, I'm assuming in this course they told you that all the motorcycles should use their turn signals, not just the lead motorcyclist?
No, in the course they don't teach you about riding in a pack.
Okay. In your experience then, is it better for the entire group to use a turn signal when they're making a lane change, or only the lead vehicle, or the lead motorcycle?
Common sense tells you that, but the more people that use them, the better.
And obviously, if you're in the lead vehicle, you don't necessarily know what the people behind you are
I
doing.
can't see what they're doing.
And that's why it makes it more important then for all of you to use them, the signals.
Yeah, I would say.
Is speeding, does that make it more dangerous to you and or other vehicles? If you're speeding on your motorcycle, does it make it more dangerous to you and or other vehicles in the area?
Any vehicle speeding over the limit.
Okay. You mentioned a term that I had never heard before. I think you said split traffic. Mr. Stubbs used that.
Ask me this.
Can you explain to me what split traffic is?
That's when you go between cars, between lanes.
Okay. And is that only for motorcycles that split traffic?
Yeah, you can't split the traffic with a car.
Okay. So this is, and again, maybe I just don't understand it well enough, but is splitting traffic where you're going between cars that are in different lanes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate that. I'll pass the witness, thank you, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No.
All right. All right, thank you. I'm sorry. It was, let me go back so I call you the right name.
I think it's James Aguilar.
All right, thank you, Mr. Aguilar. Go back and sit next to you.
You ready? Mr. Alejandro Puente would also like to testify.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat. For the record, state your first and last name and spelling, please.
Alejandro Puente, Alejandro Puente.
You may proceed.
You've been here the entire time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, did you see the video where there was one of you identified as from Detective King that was in fact using his turn signal, merging onto the I-15?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, who was that?
I believe it was me.
Okay. Did you recognize the shape of the bike?
Correct.
Okay. Did you use your turn signal,
I did.
merging left?
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you in the pack?
I was in the back.
Okay, but were you in the very back or just towards the back?
I think at that point, I was in the very back.
Okay, is that because Mr. Millan had been pulled over?
Yeah.
Okay, did you know Mr. Millan had been pulled over?
No, I didn't know. We didn't know until much later.
So your knowledge of you being in the very back is because you know now that he had been pulled over?
Correct.
Okay. Where did you think you were at the time?
Towards the back somewhere?
Yes, but not in the
Not
very
the
back.
very back, yeah.
Okay. Did you use your turn signal throughout the trip from Tropicana and Jones until the Pet Boys in 2030, I believe, North Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay. How fast were you generally traveling while you made that trip?
I can't say exactly how fast I was going. I was just going the speed of traffic, the flow of traffic.
You were just following the pack.
Correct.
Right. Were you paying attention to the speed as long as you were, in the pack?
No, not so much.
So when you're in a pack of motorcycles, do you generally pay attention to speed, or you just make sure, you're in the middle of the pack, you just make sure that you follow safely and everybody follows?
Yeah, you pay attention to the speed as far as the way the pack is moving.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Aguilar put on turn signals throughout the trip?
I did, yeah. I saw him using his hand signals.
Okay. And that's what you were following was the hand signals?
Correct.
Okay. Do you also have your own individual hand signals to communicate with each other on the bike?
Yes.
Okay. When he put on his signals, what did you do?
I looked to see where, what was coming in the direction of his hand signals.
Okay.
If he was saying he was going right, I immediately looked on the right to make sure it's safe to actually get over.
Did you also turn on your blinker?
Correct.
Okay. As you were merging on the I-15, did you try to stay as a pack or did you fragment to try to get over?
It's ideal to stay as a pack, but it was there was a lot of traffic, so I wasn't able to do that.
Okay. When that happens, do you kind of look for a gap that's the safest place to go?
Correct.
When that happens, do you speed up to try to get to that point so that you can merge?
It just depends on whatever the traffic's doing. I usually try to make eye contact with the driver, put my hand out so they can see me and they can brake and let me in.
Okay. At any time during this trip, did you change the lanes in a way it affected any other vehicle?
No.
Okay. You said you don't know exactly how fast you're going because you weren't paying attention, correct?
Correct.
You were simply paying attention to make sure that you don't hit the person in front of you in the pack, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were you generally going the flow of traffic?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when I say flow of traffic, does that mean that in the lanes to the right of you, they might be going slower?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say flow of traffic, you meant the lane that you're in, correct?
Correct. Directly in front of me.
On Sahara, were there cars in front of you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did you stop at a light on Sahara?
Yes.
Okay. Were there cars in front of you at that light?
Yes.
Okay. When you turned right off of Jones onto Sahara, did you look for any other cars that might approach?
Coming down Sahara?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is there a dedicated turn lane on Jones turning right onto Sahara?
Yes. I believe there is, yeah.
Okay. Is it necessary to use a turn signal in a dedicated turn lane?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you make your turn onto Sahara eastbound safely?
Yes.
Were there any other cars coming?
Down Sahara eastbound?
Yes.
No,
Did you look to make sure before you went?
yes,
Okay. If there was another car, would you have stopped and let that car go past?
yes,
Okay. Are you concerned about safety when riding your motorcycle?
yes,
Okay. Why is that?
because you can die riding a motorcycle.
Okay. Are you as protected as in a car?
No,
Okay. Were y'all in a hurry at all while you were traveling? Well, first of all, I didn't even ask. Where were you going that evening?
we were going to the bride or swap meeting of the ladies.
Why?
To eat and do some shopping and hang out.
Okay. Were you in any hurry that evening?
No,
Okay. Did you have lots of time to get there and spend whatever time you needed there?
yes,
I'll pass the witness.
Any thoughts?
Thank you, Your Honor. So, we talked a little bit about the body cam footage that we watched from Detective King. Do you remember talking about that?
yes,
We were talking about whether or not you could be seen using your blinker in that footage, right?
correct.
It was your testimony that in that footage, that was you.
I believe so, yes.
What makes you say that?
Well, I can see my license plate and I have very specific turn signals on the back of my bikes, not the aftermarket turn signals. So it looked like, that's what it looked like to me anyway.
Permission to approach the witness.
Sure. Any objection to that?
That's fine.
Sure.
So we're viewing Detective King's body cam footage. This is starting at 9 p.m. and 4 seconds Zulu time. And I want to just kind of click through the frames, because you can go frame by frame. And tell me what it is, and maybe we can do this so that the judge can see as well. Tell me what it is that allows you to identify yourself.
Right there.
What are we looking at?
Looking at my tail lights, it looks like. My blinker.
You can tell that's your blinker.
I mean, it looks like it.
How?
Like I said, my aftermarket blinkers are wider. They're aftermarket, so they're not like where they would usually be on the motorcycle. It looks like they're farther apart than a normal motorcycle.
You can see two distinct blinkers here.
I mean, I see the one that's going off right there on the left, and I see the red light on the right.
What red light on the right?
That one right there.
So it's your testimony that that's you.
I believe so, yeah.
You heard Mr. Aguilar's testimony about some, I guess, safety courses that he had done.
Yeah.
Had you done all those same ones?
Yeah.
When was the last safety course that you took?
Maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
And with regards to this question that was asked to Mr. Aguilar about whether it's safer to use hand signals or to signal with an actual light, what is your position on that?
It just depends on the situation. It can be safer to use your hand signals depending on, the traffic or whatever. Like I said, I try to make eye contact and use my hand signals when I'm moving. But they don't always see your blinkers,
It was dark when this happened though, right?
Yeah, it was that night.
And you were wearing black, fair to say?
Yes.
I'm approaching with what's been previously marked as State's Proposed Exhibit 5. Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes.
Is that you?
Yes.
Is that you on the night in question?
Yes.
Does it fairly and accurately depict what you were wearing and how you were dressed?
Yes.
I move to inmate Exhibit 5.
Any objection?
No, Judge?
So you were wearing black pants,
Blue pants.
blue pants, dark blue though, right? Black vest, black shirt.
Correct.
And it was nighttime.
Correct.
Right. I mean, given the fact that this was happening after the sun went down and you were dressed in all black, it's probably a good idea to use light blinkers. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say it's a good idea to use both.
Fair enough. Would you agree that it's probably wise for everyone in the group to be using blinkers, right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
In terms of whether or not the person in the front is using a blinker, that may not be super helpful to a person driving behind the pack, right?
Correct.
It's in fact arguably more important for cars behind to see people in the back of the pack using their blinkers, right?
Correct.
And it's your testimony that on this day, you were at or near the back of the pack, right?
Correct.
So I'm showing you the video that we've looked at extensively. It's of the intersection at Jones and Sahara. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
May I come up as well?
Yeah, of course.
I need to get past you.
Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes. I believe.
Okay, I need to speak a little louder, because I can't hear
If
anybody.
you can just speak right into that microphone.
Or he can speak just a little louder, he's fine, he's staying.
So-
Just said what you said again.
I believe that's me in the back right lane.
Okay, so it looks like there's maybe one other biker behind you. Is that fair to
Correct.
say? And can you tell where Mr. Aguilar is here?
He's in the front, I believe on the left side. I can't see exactly from there, but if my memory serves me correct, he's in the front on the left.
You've watched this video before.
Yeah, once or twice.
Are you able to make out any use of hand signals on this turn?
No, it looks like we're stopped at that point. There would be no hand signals being used at we're stopped.
And I want to play just a few seconds of this video. This is starting at the timestamp of 20 hours, 53 minutes, and 14 seconds. So you did not stop at the line, did you?
No, I pulled up to the line and looked down upside to see if there was anybody coming, and there wasn't, so I proceeded.
Would you agree with me that it's safer to stop at the line before turning right on red?
Yes.
Because it's green for cross traffic, right?
Yes.
Someone could potentially be turning, or someone could potentially be going in front of you, or a pedestrian could be walking, right?
Correct.
But you didn't stop.
Well, no, I didn't see anybody walking or anybody coming, so I just rolled slowly through.
State passes the witness.
All right, and redirect.
When you first saw well, first of all, I'm gonna ask you questions about our meetings, right? And I do not want you to disclose, and I'm not asking to testify what we talked about. I simply want to discuss and ask the question about what I showed you and when you identified yourself in the Detective King video, okay? When you first saw the King video, was it hard to see whether or not it was in fact you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Did I then extract and get frame by frame photographs of the video to show you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you examine those photographs?
Yes.
Did you zoom in on those photographs?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna, we gave these to you. They're in your receipt for discovery.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm simply going to show you some photographs from the Detective King video. Do you recognize these photographs?
Yes.
Okay, and I will just toggle through some of them. Did we toggle through these?
Yes.
Okay. Did we even zoom in on them to see if you were the person in that the motorcycle that was using the blinker in that video?
Yes.
Okay. After you were able to zoom in frame by frame, were you able to identify yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And are you certain that that was you using your turn signal in his body cam video?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any recalls based on that?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thornton. You can have a seat.
The other two decided that they did not want to testify,
Okay.
and so we would rest.
All right. Now we'll do closing arguments. State.
State reserves for rebuttal.
All right, defense.
Your Honor, let's look at the law. I'll just pull it up here. NRS 484B 653. That is what is at issue here. And we have agreed that the only thing at issue is the A section. I believe you'll stipulate to that, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. It is unlawful for a person to drive in a willful and wanton disregard of the safety of persons or property on a highway or premises to which the public has access. Disregard the safety of persons or property. There is nothing in this statute that says that even a certain number of minor traffic violations equals reckless driving. The focus is on whether there was a disregard of safety of a person or property. Now, reckless driving was challenged some years ago at the Nevada Supreme Court. Someone claimed that the statute was unconstitutionally vague. And in State v. Nelson, the court determined that reckless driving in Nevada was not vague. They used a different statute, the one where you're evading and driving recklessly, but the language is almost the same. That statute uses the word endanger, where this statute says disregard the safety of. So I would submit to the court that those are substantially similar and this still applies. But the reasoning at page 542 of 123 Nevada 534, the reasoning why it was not vague is because they said, quote, an individual of average intelligence could easily discern whether he is endangering another person or property. Person or property. To endanger the lives and safety of the public by the operation of an automobile on a public way is not an intangible and shadowy act. It has specific relation to the possible contact with human beings. Our Nevada Supreme Court says that reckless driving has specific relation to the possible contact with the vehicle to human beings. And I would present to you that that means contact for pedestrians or contact with other cars where human beings are in the cars. I would submit that. I would also submit to Your Honor the United States Supreme Court when they defined recklessness generally highest court in the land, United States. And they said recklessness and negligence are less culpable mental states because they instead involve insufficient concerns with a risk of injury. Again, risk of injury to a person, right? Now, I'll continue. A person acts recklessly in the most common formulation when he, quote, consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk. The risk has to be substantial and unjustifiable. Attached to his conduct in, quote, gross deviation from accepted standards. A gross deviation. Not just a deviation, a gross, a large deviation from accepted standards. Now, I would submit to Your Honor that the bar to be crossed here, beyond a reasonable doubt, is that the state has to establish that there was an unreasonable risk to another person. It says personal property. I would imagine that's the vehicles. And that if there are any traffic citations or traffic violations, that is a gross deviation. And even if there are violations, it has to be violated in a way that is an unreasonable risk to other people and puts other people in danger. There's a mens rea requirement to where they have to have willfully done that. They can't do it on accident, right? There are accidents all the time with motor vehicles. That's not what we're talking about here. They have to, and there was no accident here, but accidents are simple negligence, and they're not always reckless driving. They have to have recognized the danger and disregarded that danger. Now let's just go through the testimony of the officers, of what they saw happen. Initially, Officer Gower's testimony was completely different than when we showed videos and talked to him about his radio traffic. At the end of the day, well, first of all, Officer Rodriguez testified he did not see any reckless driving and that he didn't communicate any reckless driving. He just simply thought that they were going fast at a high rate of speed. Okay. No reckless driving there. We have one officer witnessing them on the roadway that said they were not driving recklessly. Then we have Detective Gower. And Detective Gower also believed that they were going at a high rate of speed. In fact, he said they were going so fast that he could not pace them. He couldn't keep up with them. But we saw in the video how he was directly behind them as they approached the intersection of Jones and Sahara. Detective Gower is not credible. That is not true what he testified to. It is not true what was in his declaration of arrest. He was right behind them. In fact, he was right behind them on Sahara too. He identified his own vehicle at the 7-Eleven video. He also could not identify at any point, any time, when they affected in any way any other vehicle. So there is zero testimony from Detective Gower, until they were merging onto the I-15. There is zero testimony from Detective Gower. Where's my foldable?
Right there, right behind you.
Oh, is it? There was zero testimony from Detective Gower until the merge on the freeway that even their lane changes were a violation. Now, there is a case called Berhe, B-E-R-H-E. I would bring up the citation right now, to where the federal court has interpreted the turn signal laws for Nevada. In fact, it was argued by our current district attorney, Wolfson. And in Berhe, they focused on the part of the statute that specifically says that a signal of intent is only necessary if. Very powerful word. if another vehicle is affected. There was no testimony that in any of the changes of lanes or turns, we'll address up to the I-15, we'll address that in a minute. Any other vehicle was affected. They did not even violate the Nevada turn signal statute because there is no evidence that they affected any other vehicle when they changed lanes. And that's from Officer Gower's testimony. When they went north on Jones, they said they were going the flow of traffic. Officer Gower doesn't know how fast, and also said that he didn't have any instance of it affecting anybody. Now they did stop at Sahara and Jones. They stopped. This is not a trial for a traffic violation for running a red light. It's just simply not. The question is, did they endanger anybody? Did they recognize a danger, do it anyway? Did they disregard? And was it a gross deviation of the acceptable standard? They stopped. Now, they didn't stop at the line right before, which there was testimony that it was dark and hard to see anyway. But they also checked. And you see from the video, there were no cars coming. They turned right on eastbound Sahara. No cars coming. It was safe. It did not affect anybody else. And even Detective Gower followed them immediately behind and said he did it safely, and begrudgingly admitted that if he did it safely, then the defendants did it safely as well. Then they moved to the left lane. Even according to the radio traffic and Detective Gower, they were in the left lane almost the entire time. From Desert Inn and Sahara all the way to the I-15, they stayed in the left lane. He called it autopilot the radio traffic. He doesn't remember them deviating or moving from the left lane. We have testimony from the defendants that are the same. Everybody agrees that for the majority of Sahara, they were in the left lane. We can see from the video at the Terribles at Sahara and Jones that when they turned right, there weren't even cars coming behind them. And so logic says that would not have affected anybody else because there were no other cars when they're merging into the left lane and staying in the left lane on Sahara. And Detective Gower, again, testified that he could not describe even one instance where them changing lanes affected anybody else. If the statute, they didn't even violate the turn signal statute, if they didn't signal. Now, they testified that they did signal. Detective Gower, Detective King also testified they were not looking for hand signals and they had no idea if they used hand signals. It is undisputed before Your Honor that these defendants used hand signals. Undisputed. Detective Gower said that he had no idea. Detective King said he had no idea if they used hand signals because they weren't looking for hand signals. Even on the merging of the I-15. We have an expert that has put together the average speeds at certain times, and it's a part of the record. We're talking the speeds of 32, 36, at one point somewhere between 43 and 46 at the 7-Eleven. He also testified that he could determine the speed based on the video at the 7-Eleven. And he's a traffic expert that does this normally. And he said their speed as they passed the 7-Eleven was between 43 and 46 miles an hour. Now, Detective Gower says he has no idea. Is 43, well, 43 isn't even speeding, it's 45 miles per hour zone. But is 46 miles per hour, is that a gross deviation of the accepted norms? Even before that, one was 32, I believe. They were well below the speed limit, except there was one section to where they averaged 50 miles per hour. Now, according to radio traffic, there were no red lights there. So, at the very beginning, where it's the lightest traffic, when there are no red lights, from one red light to another red light, they averaged 51 miles per hour, I believe it's 51, right? Still, is that a gross deviation of the acceptable norm? I'd say it isn't. I'd say most police officers wouldn't even pull someone over for going 5 or 6 miles per hour over the speed limit. Then they turn left on the I-15. Now, I told you what the officer's testimony was. I realized he also testified contrary to that, but when shown the evidence, he testified exactly what I'm presenting to the court. Once you get there, everybody actually said, Detective Gower, Detective King, all the defendants that testified, everybody said that it was congested on the merge lane on the I-15 between Sahara and Charleston. Everybody said that. When that happens, you even saw video from Detective King's body cam. I call it a sea of red lights, because even after the motorcycles had already merged, of course, except for Mr. Millan, even after they had already merged, it was heavy traffic, and there's that sea of the red lights. In fact, Detective King had a difficult time getting back over. He had to slow down. He even had to turn on his lights to merge over to participate in Mr. Millan's traffic stop. These motorcycles, or these defendants, they testified that they were in fact using their signals, and in fact, Detective King even identified that one of the motorcycles used their signal when pointed out on his video. So any testimony that did not happen just is not true. At least one was on video, and even Detective King testified to that fact and identified it as one of the defendants. Then the motorcycles, the main motorcycle group goes forward. They go forward, and they figure out later that Mr. Millan had been pulled over or wasn't with them, and then they moved into a parking lot where the police came and detained them. For the first 2 minutes, the Detective Walt, or Sergeant Walt, said that they were unpleasant, but after that, he said they were polite, they were compliant, they were respectful. And they just simply sat there until they were arrested for reckless driving. Let's go backwards to Mr. Millan. He's not even alleged to have merged unsafely onto the I-15. He was pulled over. They put on their lights, the rear bike was pulled over. Detective King even said that as he tried to merge over, he turned off his lights. And he said that a reasonable person could infer from that no one else was being pulled over. There's no evidence that the defendants knew that anybody was being pulled over. There's all kinds of cars, there's all kinds of lights. And especially the ones in the front of the pack, how would they know? And NRS 484B550 is the duty to stop for a police officer. That duty is specifically for marked police cars, and it says specifically in there. And so all these officers were not in marked police cars. I would submit to the court there was not even a duty for them to stop, even if they did know. Mr. Millan had no duty to stop for them because they were not in a marked police car. He did anyway. Both officers testified that he was polite. He was polite and he was respectful. Even though he was handcuffed, even though he was treated poorly, he was told after it was a 28-minute, almost a half-hour investigation, he was told, we're going to write you a citation for a moving violation and a driver's license. About 5 minutes later, they're telling him you're arrested for reckless driving. They made the decision on site simply to cite him for one moving violation. If it was really that egregious, would that really have happened? And then they testified, Gower testified, that they ended up arresting him because they were ordered to by a different unit. They did not make the decision to arrest any of them for reckless driving, especially Mr. Millan. They made the decision for a simple moving violation. But because they were ordered to, it was then arrested and submitted as a reckless driving. And I would submit to you that I don't believe that they would even be here today if it wasn't for Detective Johnston of Intelligence making that order. Your Honor, there is no reckless driving here. The standard is clear. They have to have not only put somebody in danger, that's not enough. There's a mens rea. This isn't a traffic citation that is strict liability. They have to have recognized a danger and disregarded that danger. They have to have, according to the Nevada Supreme Court, endangered the lives and safety of the public by the operation of an automobile on a public highway, and have specific relation to the possible contact of human beings. Undisputed, nobody else, at least till the I-15, was affected at all. And I would submit to Your Honor that the brake lights and everything happening is merely them, the defendants, finding a spot to where they could merge over. They probably sped up, right? If you see a spot, you go for it, you make your signal, and you merge. That's what you do. And so maybe they did speed up. Maybe they did. It's not because they were evading anything. They had no idea. It's because they were trying to be safe. You heard testimony that they were trying to be safe as a group. They were trying to be safe. I do not believe that it is credible. First of all, I don't believe Detective Gower is credible at all. There were so many instances where he testified to something that had to change his testimony. There were at least 2 instances in his declaration of arrest where he had to correct his declaration of arrest. Right? There was the instance of him not being able to, they were going so fast that he wasn't able to judge their speed or pace them when he pulled in right behind them. And he said, nobody used their turn signal. Well, I would submit to you, he wasn't paying attention. He just wasn't. He wasn't paying attention, because if he was paying attention, he would have seen the vehicle directly in front of him using a turn signal that is caught on video. And I would go again to the United States Supreme Court defining recklessness in the context of reckless driving, right? A person acts recklessly in the most common formulation when he, quote, consciously, not by accident, consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk attached to his conduct in, quote, gross deviation from accepted standards. Even if there were minor traffic violations that happened. Those are minor traffic violations. They are not a gross deviation. And this is important, Your Honor. Detective Gower made a big deal of, oh, everything's dangerous, everything's dangerous. If that's true, then any traffic violation would be reckless driving. It's dangerous just to ride a motorcycle. It's dangerous. People die every day simply driving their car with no reckless driving. That's dangerous. We have decided as a society that we're okay with some deaths and some injuries because we want to drive cars. If this is not the standard of the United States Supreme Court set out of a gross deviation from the accepted standard, if that is not the standard, then going 1 mile over the speed limit, that would be reckless. Any traffic violation or combination of traffic violations, that would be reckless. But that's not what the Nevada legislature did. And thank you.
State?
Your Honor, I think it's critical at the beginning of this to understand exactly what the standard is, because there have been a lot of standards that have been floated out there that aren't actually accurate. Because the standard is the statute which makes it a criminal offense to commit the act of reckless driving. The citation to Nelson deals with a different statute with different words. It uses the words endanger. It doesn't use the words disregard the safety of persons or property. The idea that those two are equated is just not accurate. Endanger probably does require that there be someone that is actually placed into a situation of danger, but the plain language of 484B.653, which is what we're operating off of, is a willful or wanton disregard of the safety of persons or property. It has to do with the method in which certain acts are taken. It has less to do with who is around and the actual danger that they're placed in. The Nelson v. State, clarification as to the meanings in that statute are not applicable here. That's even, especially much more so for the Supreme Court case, the United States Supreme Court case cited by defense counsel, where the Supreme Court is making a determination on a question of federal law, a federal question that had certainly no relation to any statutes in Nevada or, for all we know, any state law. Certainly has no binding effect. So this standard of it needs to be a gross deviation, that is not what is in front of us. In fact, the Nevada legislature has made clear what the standard is: disregard of the safety of persons or property on a highway or premises. That's the standard that we're operating off of. This case comes down to 4 separate alleged, they are traffic violations, and traffic violations which, when taken in their entirety and one by one, show a willful or wanton disregard of the safety of persons on the highways. The first is the speed, and that's between Desert Inn and Sahara. The testimony from Detective Gowers, which I disagree is not really under dispute, I mean it's under dispute, but it's not in the sense that he has contradicted it, is that they were going faster than the flow of traffic. Now, that does not change because a witness and the party stipulate that their average speed was somewhere around the speed limit. That is a maximum speed limit. You can recklessly drive going the speed limit because the standard is not exceeding the speed limit. It is wanton or willful disregard of the safety of others. If the flow of traffic is below the speed limit, then you can potentially be under the speed limit and still be driving recklessly. The testimony was that there were cars between Desert Inn and Sahara. And if we look at the actual video that was provided by the parties, you see cars in there. And this idea that, we have a snapshot 1 mile apart and there aren't more cars there, that it shows that they didn't pass more cars. That doesn't take into account the fact that cars can enter and exit the road at any point. So the evidence of their average speed does not discount what the detective testified to, which is that there were cars and that they were going beyond the flow of traffic. There were also the lane changes, which occurred between Desert Inn and Sahara. The testimony was that they were changing lanes without signals. The testimony was that they were doing that in front of and weaving throughout cars. That was the testimony. Just because we find evidence of a signal being used in 2 instances during the course of this pursuit does not negate the testimony that they were changing lanes without signals. The testimony was that there were cars and they were changing and weaving between the cars without signals. Now, the third act that's alleged is the turn onto Sahara, the right turn on red. Whether or not it is a per se traffic violation to turn right without using, or to lane change without using a signal is not really relevant here, because the question is whether their actions were in reckless disregard for the safety of others. The testimony from Mr. Puente specifically was that he did not stop at red and he turned right. Now he says that he looked, but we heard from Detective Gower the potential dangers of turning without stopping. Maybe you don't have the moment of clarity that you would have if you stopped at the line like you're supposed to. The mere fact that the road was clear does not make that lane change safer. I mean, it makes it safer in the sense that no one was directly endangered, but the whole point of the law, stopping at a line, is to make sure that you are doing your due diligence to make sure that the road is clear. Otherwise, the law would just say, stop if you need to, otherwise you can turn right. But the law is, you stop when you're turning right on red. The final act that's alleged is the merge onto I-15, which the testimony was that multiple cars needed to put on their brakes in order to avoid a collision with the defendants. That was what the actual testimony was. Just because there was a sea of red brake lights, just because it was a congested freeway, does not negate that. In fact, the fact that it's so congested is exactly the reason why extra care is needed. The testimony was that cars needed to slam the brakes, or needed to press the brakes, and the testimony was that Detective Gower saw the brake lights when they did that. Taken in a culmination of the way that these drivers were behaving on the road, this pack mentality that they had where they are moving as one and they are essentially dominating this road, is what reckless driving is. They were going where they wanted to go, they were doing their thing, and it was not in regard to the safety of others because they just wanted to go where they wanted to go. And taken in culmination, I believe that amounts to reckless driving and they should be found guilty.
Yep. Thank you. All right. All right, so before the court today is that the prosecution and state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendants committed reckless driving under 4A4B.653. So going off of the amended complaint, going off of the actual statute, it's unlawful for a person to drive a vehicle in willful or wanton disregard of the safety of persons or property on a highway or premises to which the public has access to. And the state has to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. So going back over, I highlighted some of the testimony. And I just want to be clear, that is what's before the court, reckless driving. Before the court is not whether they speeded a specific amount above the court, whether they went through a red light making a right instead of coming to a complete stop. It is a reckless driving statute that is before the court. So that is what the court is ruling on. Going through what is alleged as the reckless driving. So first we'll start with the high rate of speed, and this is based on the amended criminal complaint, which is how the state pled it. Driving at a high rate of speed. That was the first instance of what the state saying is reckless driving. Officer or Detective Rodriguez testified that he couldn't tell if they were speeding or not. And that's what he actually said. Detective Gower, in his initial testimony, he did say that they were traveling at a faster pace than the pace of traffic. However, he could not say if they were speeding. Sergeant Walt said he didn't see any traffic offenses that occurred. Then we had a defense exhibit which said that the speeds are average were 32, 35 miles per hour, 51 miles per hour, 31, 39, and 42. It wasn't as clear with the testimony, but what the court gathered is that it was 45 miles per hour on the street. So there are civil infractions where a speeding violation is 1 to 10 miles. Again, I just want to make it clear that that's not before the court. Were they potentially going above 1 to 10 miles above the speed limit? The court, they may or may not have. It's not as clear, however, that's not even before the court. Before the court is reckless driving. So based on that, the court does have some doubts as to that. The next thing that's pled is failing to signal or, so both defendants that testified that they absolutely signaled, that they signal with their hands and their lights. On the videos that were shown in court, it was clear indication of a signal light going on. The officer also testified that they would only be able to see the back of the pack which in the video, you see the back of the pack with a signal light on, but they wouldn't be able to see the front or the middle of the pack if they were hand signaling. Okay, so again, it's not before the court whether they change lanes and then signal. It's again a willful or wanton disregard of the safety of the persons. The next thing I was alleged is that they disobeyed the steady red signal. There is a civil liability statute for that action. However, the court has to look under the reckless driving statute, which said, again, a willful or wanton disregard of the safety. The court did see them slow down. They did see them kind of all stay together, and more telling on whether it was a willful or wanton disregard of safety is that the officer that followed them went exact same speed at the exact same manner as the motorcycles. The officer also did not stop. He may not have stopped because he was trying to keep up with them. However, again, we have to look at a willful and wanton disregard of safety of persons. Then also on the highway, it was traffic on the highway. So the court has doubts on whether there was a willful or wanton disregard of safety of person by them merging on the highway. They were able to merge all the way over to the left. There was no testimony of cars honking, cars swerving out the way, or anything to indicate that there was a willful or wanton disregard of the safety of persons. There is a case that no one mentioned, but it is Justin Patrick Kelly versus the state of Nevada. The site is the Nevada Supreme Court case. Site is 132 Nevada 348. This actually talks about NRS 484B, the statute that I have to go by, .653. And the court's just going to read the facts of that case, which the Supreme Court said was a violation of the reckless driving. The case involves a double jeopardy issue. The court's not addressing that, but this is what the Supreme Court of Nevada said was a reckless driving. A deputy noticed Kelly driving the vehicle without brake lights or turn signals. The deputy followed Kelly, who then drove on the left side of the road facing oncoming traffic. Soon after the deputy activated his lights, Kelly did not stop. A chase ensued. They drove through several streets, Kelly surpassing the speed limit. The deputy finally stopped Kelly and arrested him. Mr. Kelly pled under this statute, and that is what the Supreme Court said was a reckless driving. Driving without any brake lights, turn signals, driving onto oncoming traffic, not stopping when there was lights and sirens overhead, and a chase ensued. So the Supreme Court gave us a perfect example of reckless driving. Here, again, the state has the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they committed the offense of reckless driving, and the court has doubts on that, and the court finds that the doubts are very reasonable. Again, based on everything the court just said and the videos that were provided, it was nothing that the court saw that would show that any of the defendants acted in a willful or wanton disregard of the persons or safety. The court, again, even in the traveling of the pack, it still looked like they were exercising due care and even traveling in the packs, trying to stay together. I didn't see swerving or cars going out the way. It wasn't testimony as to that effect. A lot of the testimony that was provided, it was a lot of, I don't know. I couldn't tell if they were signaling. I couldn't tell if the front of the pack were signaling. I couldn't tell if they were speeding. So based on that, the court finds that the state has not met its burden beyond a reasonable doubt, and the court finds that they are not guilty of the charge of reckless driving for all the defendants. We already did that, didn't we?
I think we got that date,
We did that yesterday.
We got what?
the date for.
The date for
Yes.
Mr. Millan and his driver's license.
Right.
All right,
Yeah, that's the 14th of January 2025.
great. Anything further?
Not from the state.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.